It's such a big conversation at the moment, and I think it's recognising that we call it neurodivergent, but if you actually look into it, probably about 80% of people fit that category. So what we're designing for is a norm that isn't actually the norm. It's about 20% of people. So we're designing spaces that are actually only suitable for 20% of people, whether that's through physical or mental disability of some kind, which means like how are we actually successfully designing spaces with only 20% of people are ever going to be catered for in that environment? It's kind of part of that wider conversation of how do we make sure that when we are designing spaces, we're considering everyone. One of the first things I thought as a designer was the thought that somebody in a wheelchair couldn't use one of my spaces because I had been careless in designing it. That's a horrible thing to think, that you've just neglected to consider those people in your design. What's the point then? It feels like you need to make sure you're thinking about everyone. Neurodiversity fits in that nicely within the workplace as well.
Space by Stansons, thank you so much for tuning in. This is my first of anything like this. So A, we got 2 guests, which is wicked, and B, I'm interviewing Mix 30 Under 30 rising stars of 2025 and 6.
Think about that.
Yeah, big bit of thinking. So I've got Eleanor from Layrd. We're wondering if it is Lanyard or Layrd, but it's definitely Layrd. Apparently it's definitely Layrd. Head of Workspace, so fancy.
I know. It's a big title, isn't it?
And Sarah, Jolie, not Jolie.
No, it's say it how you like.
I like.
We'll go with
Jolie.
the French.
Yeah, French. It sounds very bougie. I can do the whole je bit, so I'm quite proud of myself. You know what I mean? Yeah. So interior designer at Jolie, which is in America, Manchester. You've travelled down to Manchester. Thank you so much.
Really? Oh my goodness.
Yes. On a train.
Yeah.
Wild.
Auntie.
I know who she is. In a showroom, in a different space, we've like kind of put together a little zone for this because it's just going to be very, I don't know, basically just join in with just basically like a coffee chat. What did you do when you first heard it? You were like excited. Did you know it was coming?
No,
was
I
it
had
completely
no
shock?
idea. I was so shocked. I was working at home, and then Frankie, our CEO, just put in on our channel like congratulations, and I thought, what the hell? I thought, I'm supposed to, like, oh, what the hell's just happened? And I had to call my sister. I was like, Helen, you'll never guess what. But yeah, such a shock. But yeah, such a lovely surprise, really.
Yeah, wicked. And so you went out, celebrated. What happened?
I had a few drinks with my friend down in Manchester, which was lovely.
Nice, cool. And Eleanor, did you go bonkers? I can't imagine you doing it. No, sure.
Yeah, I did. So we were in an in-person meeting, they told me, and I was like, no. And I was like, just my normal self. But yeah, at first I was like, surely not, because I think, I don't know if it's like it's like a perception of like when you start out your career as an interior designer, you kind of look at Mix and you're like, oh my God, that's like the thing, isn't it? Right. And you can't imagine yourself that you'd ever be recognised by something like that. So it was pretty cool.
Wicked. It's really cool. Do you get loads of input, people messaging you and stuff? Is it like being a celebrity?
It's just, yeah, it's a lot of like lovely messages from suppliers, and then all my friends are so lovely. It was like, yeah.
I feel like because it's called the 30 Under 30, I'm like, it's like Forbes.
I thought that's what they were like, oh my God, you're going to be in Forbes.
It's the Forbes 30, what is it, like 30 under 30 billionaires or something, like very far off from that, but it's fine.
Similar sort of thing though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Similar.
It's the interiors version of that, right?
The interiors version of that.
Yeah.
Done. I'll just bring up Forbes after this.
Yeah.
Make sure
that we're on the list, right?
Yeah. Good. And so, yeah, down to your things that you do in the day. Like, what do you like? What are you? Your work, your style of work. What do you do? Like, why do you think you picked it up? What is it? What have you done?
It's a lot of coffee.
Is that why you got the award?
A lot of coffee. Yeah. You know what? I think for me, like at the moment, I spend a lot more time leading the team. So my role as head of workplace is kind of a lot more, I might initially engage the clients, but it's a lot more just supporting the wider team and making sure that, they kind of, every project that we put out is right and fits the brief that obviously the client's given us, but also what we're trying to represent as a company. So I do spend a lot of time out and about, going all the way around the country visiting clients. But I think it's just really exciting for me to, have my team and like see how amazing they all are, to be honest. Like, I feel like that's more what it is. It's they're part of that for me. Like, it's not a singular thing. It feels like they're the reason I've been able to get to this point, really.
Yeah. So do you get nominated for it because of leading the team? Is that why? So
I
how
think
do you win it? How can I
Oh,
win it? I
I
mean,
don't know.
except for I'm not under 30, but other than that,
I think that probably plays a part in it. Obviously, we've met before because we were on a panel about neurodiversity, so it's something I'm very passionate about talking about because through workplace design, I kind of was like exploring neurodiversity, and I was like, oh, this is suspicious. So I went and had an autism assessment, and I am autistic, and I was like, oh, there we go. But it came from my work. Without my work, I would never have taken that avenue. So it was a big thing for me to kind of go down that path. And now when I'm designing, I'm so conscious about that and how different people experience spaces, and it's really kind of fed into my work. So I think that's played quite a big part of it as well.
and do you know how you got the award? Like any?
No, I think that the powers that be nominating me, yeah. And then I got the message. So yeah, I can say like I get to work on like so many different stages of projects. So I do quite a lot of creative pictures, which is really fun because that's just like that's bit, isn't it? Go wild, go nuts, be completely creative, but then you also get to work on sort of stage 2, the stage 3 is where it's a bit more technical, or doing a lot of like 3D modeling, or more like specking everything. No, not really. Well, I did do, my undergrad was in architecture, so I did come from more of a technical.
Oh, go a bit then.
They're not, I've really enjoyed the more creative side of things. It's where I really like to be. But yeah.
Oh, nice. And so they've been only worked on specific projects that kind of, well, like bombastic wow ones that.
It's hard. A lot of the pictures that I've done, I've really like them wow, because that's when you could like, you don't know the budget, so you just go like hotel ones that are really fun to do, and then indie hotel.
We've started getting into it, yeah.
It's a whole nother.
It's
Right.
fun, isn't it? Because
Okay.
the briefs are a little bit more, like obviously this is the basis of a hotel, but the briefs tend to be a bit more open.
Yeah.
And we started doing a lot more. So we have a side part of the business called Designer's Touch, which is all about like the decorative elements from like the crockery to what wall art you have. And that's really fun.
That's where I come in.
And like the specking is sometimes just like, you're just shopping really, aren't you?
Yeah, it's one we've done. When you start like, specking like cutlery and stuff, what's going on? Yeah, there's just one really cool project we did, which is like more of a workplacey one, it was actually going in Germany, and it was sort of a really cool like concrete building. It was like trying to keep that kind of architecture of it, but it was like all these amazing atrium spaces, and this building was going to be like offices, it was going to be flats, it was going to like a lounge, it was going to have everything in it basically. So that was a really cool one to be on.
Did you just go to Germany?
No, maybe next time.
No, next time.
Maybe.
Let's get the next one in LA. Then you go to it.
But you've all over the world.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, but they are in America.
Yeah.
Have you been to America?
Not yet, but yeah, the offices, set up. He's very cool.
Like, I'm in Palm person now.
Is there a HR team that we could send a link to of the recording? Oh, that's nice. Good. And how are you going to change the world, Sarah? Like, what are you going to do? Like, what's your?
This feels like those pageants, you know, and they're like, what would you do? And they're like, world peace, you know, the pageant.
I'll start with world peace.
Yeah, and then what we'll go on to. No, but I always think like younger designers that come up, they haven't got tainted. It's probably the right word. Like, because like you've been in the industry for a long time, you start to do the norm. Right, it's just it, isn't it? You do, like you've seen this, you've done it works, and no disrespect, there's wicked designs out there, but I feel like when you're just coming into a workforce in your kind of first 5 years, you're not kind of following any kind of rules because you're still making
Burnt yet?
Nah, not being burnt yet.
So I think for me, it might sound really obvious, but kind of the sustainability aspect of things, I think is so important. And I think trying not to see it as like that tick box and try to see it as like starting before you start designing, like look at it from day dot and how you carry it through, I think is so important, because I don't think we really got a choice anymore, which is quite a negative topic, but I think it's so important, and there's so many ways we can weave it in into the design. That's just like through materials, or like how many finishes you're actually putting into a project, and how you can still try to have like kind of layered and homely and that design, which obviously we do quite like a sensory design, how you can still have all that but with the environment in mind, and how you can, I don't know what the word is, kind of push that ethos without packing a room full of like carbon heavy kind of promotes, which I think is really important.
Are really mindful, really.
Yeah, really like quite selective about that, I think is really important.
I do find the Jolie designs, have you ever seen them?
I have. They look lovely.
So dreamy.
They are.
So dreamy.
They're fun to work on.
So calm.
Yeah, I think that's what's really great about working at Jolie is kind of that. You start off with how you want to feel in space, and so then you'll do sort of, and then from the words you get, if you want to be calm, energetic, lively, joyful, however you want to feel in the space, and then from that you kind of derive the color palette, and so kind of go into the color psychology. Then you layer in kind of what fragrances kind of also help you feel that way, which is something I find really, really interesting. So then when we do our presentations, we'll do the color theory, the color palette. We'll have a song, like a soundtrack for each space to kind of like get you in the net. And then we'll have little like scent samples that we pass around to try and give that whole like Jolie effects and give that whole vibe of how, if you take like the idea the whole way, how successful it can be and how it can really make your space come alive.
Yeah, I think it's so important as well because like I was at a talk not long ago. It was that Kay Sargent. I don't know if you know she's from Hock, and she was talking about how science fiction got so many things right. One of the things they got wrong was the interpretation of women, was one thing. But one thing they got really wrong is, although technology has advanced so much, even a lot of sci-fi, you see it's all very cold and very clinical and very like masculine. And what we actually find is that because we've advanced technology so much, we've distanced ourselves from the human so much that people want designs that are going to bring them back, which is where all of this sensory experience is so important because we've distanced ourselves so far from each other through technology that now it's like, how do we bring everyone back in? And, it's that texture and, what you're smelling, what you're seeing. It's so important.
I don't know if it's because technology is such like a prevalent part. I think now you're noticing it more, the people kind of really coming back for that. They want that layer, they want that wall.
And it's not saying we're saying no to technology. The technology's still there. It's just what's around it. It's like we don't need to be cold and clinical. We can have something that feels nice and cozy.
Yeah.
People get scared to say cozy, especially in a workplace setting. I'm like, why should it not feel cozy? What's wrong with that?
I feel at home.
You know that saying, you're like the people that you spend the most time with. Like, I always think it applies to spaces as well. If you live in a crap hole, that's probably a bit strong, but you get my vibe. Like, or you work in a dump, I think you get like the place that you are. So if you work in a nice place that's like cozy, let's go with that. Like, I think you end up a more emotionally intelligent person.
You'll do better work. If you're in a better environment, you'll do better work. I still do.
Yeah, I so agree. I really like hearing someone say they're doing sustainability, not tick box. Not that anyone turns around to me and says, I'm doing sustainability to tick box. Like, I've never heard that either. But I do feel like it does happen a lot.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like health and safety. It's just like, we're doing this and we're doing that because we have to do it, and not because we like love everyone being ridiculously safe. And we should do it, and we should do it more from that reason.
See it more as that kind of mindset all the way through, rather than just kind of, we should probably do something a bit environmentally conscious. I've like put that in.
Yeah. Actually, because when you integrate it into the design or design out stuff or design in stuff, like really mindfully, it totally changes. But it goes all that to start, like always, do you know what I mean? So what's your thing, Eleanor? Like, what, neurodiversity? Is that your...
Yeah, do you know, I think it's such a big conversation at the moment, and I think it's recognising that, like, it's still, we call it neurodivergency, whatever, but if you actually look into it, probably about like 80% of people fit that category. So what we're designing for is a norm that isn't actually the norm. It's about 20% of people. So we're designing spaces that are actually only suitable, like, to their best for 20% of people, whether that's through physical or mental disability of some kind.
Yeah.
Which means, like, how are we actually successfully designing spaces with only 20% of people are ever going to be, like, catered for in that environment? So I think it's kind of part of that wider conversation of how do we make sure that when we are designing spaces, we're considering everyone. I remember, like, one of the first things I thought as a designer was the thought that somebody in a wheelchair couldn't use one of my spaces because I had been careless in designing it. I was like, that's a horrible thing to think. I think, that you've just neglected to consider those people in your design, because what's the point then? It feels like you need to make sure you're thinking about everyone and neurodiversity fits in that and nicely within the workplace as well. Because obviously it's where you spend most of your time, and it's how do we actually nurture those minds, because a lot of people who are neurodiverse, that skill set is really fundamental within the workplace. Actually, it's not a hindrance to people working, it's actually helping everybody to have those different types of people, and it's just making sure that we create spaces that actually work with everyone in mind, which isn't the way we've been working for however many years.
It's really true, because also like neurodivergent people are often like really geniuses in their area. Do you know what I mean? I've found through, like, I've interviewed Kate Sargent on the podcast and others as well, and got into neurodiversity, and a bit like you actually, like talking about it, you're like, oh my goodness, like some of those things, like I definitely have some of them things, and I think like everybody does, it's not neurodiverse, it's a bit of a rubbish word in
Because
this
it's not
sense. It sounds
exactly,
bad, but it's not actually, it's just normal.
Yeah.
It's just like if you just said like I've got a bit of a bad attention span or something like that, it doesn't sort of shock anyone. Do you know what I mean?
It just actually is the norm. We just don't treat it that way. And I think there's just, and like you said, with the the skill sets, obviously we're based in Cambridge, there's a lot of like tech and life science in Cambridge, and when they're kind of trying to recruit these talents, a lot of them do come from neurodiverse backgrounds, so we do have to consider those things, because that person could be the next mind to create something that could change the world, and we need to make sure that we're creating the right environments to be able to allow that to happen, really.
I do love that, Eve. It's a really nice balance. It's actually a really perfect picture of how I think Gen Z do, and like the new designers are changing design, like change the world. Okay, we will do world peace as well, but it's gonna be like they are going to be more mindfully designed, they are going to be more sustainable, they are going to be more inclusive, like all of these things. It's like gone beyond just like what's the flipping word,
the bare minimum.
Bare minimum, yeah. When like boys and girls get the same equal opportunities, it's not that. I mean, that's so like that was so kind of probably my era when that was a thing, like the gender equality or whatever. And now it's not that. I mean, that's kind of come and gone, and it's now more about
acknowledging the differences and saying like,
whatever, really.
Yeah,
I think it's so important.
And designing, and now everything has to. I've had this conversation with some people. I haven't really got a sustainable aesthetic in terms of design, and it shouldn't have to look sustainable.
No, that's something that I'm always trying to find like new materials that are sustainable, but don't look like like recycled plastic. There are so many cores out there that deserve more attention. There's one I was looking at for a project at the minute. It's actually like an amenity within a workspace, and it's a solid surface, but it's made from recycled e-waste and recycled like electrical cables. All that does. Cool. And then actually like coffee husks. So like there's loads of coffee waste, because obviously we consume so much coffee, and it's like husks around the coffee cream, the coffee pop thing. They mix them, and they have these really lovely warm colours. It's like a really cool like textured surface, but it doesn't look like you pick it because it looks cool, not just because it's sustainable.
Does it smell nice?
Doesn't have a smell.
Oh, I was scratching sniff.
I would have did sniffing out,
I tried. The sample of it.
I bet you did.
Smell like any bin.
Oh no, that's nice. So, right, different question. What's the biggest mistake you've made? Like kind of that, like what's your light bulb moment? Like when do you go, because have you made mistakes yet?
I mean, in my life.
Now we're
talking.
How deep
do you want to go?
How deep are we getting?
I think it's difficult to define, because...
What's your light bulb moment? When like talk to me about how you found out about the neurodiversity thing, because I think that's quite a light bulb.
Do you know what? I think it was quite a slow burn, to be honest. It wasn't like a very sudden thing. I think in the back of my mind I was consciously aware, but I was like, I mean, I'm just a little bit or something, it's fine. And then I think it was just kind of engaging more in those conversations, because I was conscious as a designer that I wanted to kind of make sure that I understood as much as possible, because whether you are or aren't neurodivergent, it's important to understand each other, right?
Yeah.
Regardless. So, and I think it was just kind of also just as our workplace got bigger and dealing with more people, and obviously my role expanding, and I was dealing with more people, and knowing how to kind of have conversations with different people, whether it's suppliers, contractors, which they're very different types of people. Like a conversation I might have with you is very different to someone I'd have with a builder.
Really?
You know, and I think
I'm the opposite.
when you add into the mix being a woman as well, like I'm sure you're right, it's frustrating. It's so frustrating when you're in such a male-dominated environment and you're a young woman and they're just like, why is this child talking to me? Yes, yeah. So
Is that actually the thing?
it is.
I mean,
actually.
because I can't believe it, because I just think most of designers are young women. Like, you wouldn't, if like, no disrespect, if an older guy came to me, I'd be like, are you sort of creative enough? Have you got enough flair? Like, no joke. It's kind of, they have to prove themselves more, I think. But if I see a young girl, I'm like, yeah, they've got the
Again, I think it depends on the setting, because I think in this world of like the furniture design and stuff, it's quite nice. It's a nice little bubble. But it's when you get more into that property, like landlord, contractor setting, that's a lot more male still, and it's a lot more old school and traditional, and they have their very old school values. And we kind of, when you come in and say, I'm an interior designer and I'm here to make it look really nice, they're all like, what the hell's going on? Like, this isn't something that's needed in their mind. You bring up sustainability, they're like, no, get out the window, you know? So it's just, we're constantly kind of fighting those fights, I think.
Yeah. That is, I said that equality thing was come and gone, and you're clearly proved me wrong. But we should so be age as well is another thing. Like, we should so be over that.
Yeah, there's definitely like a barrier with people thinking because they're older, they're more knowledgeable. And I think there's even at my age, I'm like, I love talking to students. I want to hear what students have to say because they've got really important, you know, they might be thinking things that I've not even considered yet. And the fear of being like that old person that's like, back in my day, yeah, you know.
I also think that people in my day, no, I think people like today are learning much faster. Because of like, if you think about it, like you can access like all the top minds through podcasts, news, AI. Like before, like if I was to go and like have a conversation with like Stephen Bartlett or something like that, that would have been quite a big deal. Like I'd have had to be quite privileged. I would have had to somehow get in front of him and have like 30 minutes or whatever. But now he dropped every day, or do you know what I mean? He's like, there's
the information's so accessible.
Much information.
There's so like such a wealth of it out there that
it's almost too much.
I know. It's a lot. It's all overwhelming.
Yeah, so like I think like people have got much more data and information and intelligence, so they can learn much faster. Probably a bit fusing out for the brain, but
yeah.
No, it's interesting. So equality isn't sorted when you look after world peace. We'll get onto that.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
Do you write up a list?
Yeah, I know.
Damn. Oh dear. Did you have a light bulb moment, Sarah, or was it?
I don't know if it was a light bulb moment. I think it kind of started probably in like my final year of uni when I was doing my dissertation. I was looking at how colour theory can make you feel in the space, and that's kind of what my diss was on. So I was looking at a couple of like, I had to look at like an old building and a new building and how colour was incorporated into that. Because I learned some really like eye-opening statistics. And then there was one that was really amazing in Japan. It's a bit of a random one, but they had a really sad and really bad suicide problem at train stations in Japan. So they put loads of blue lights in there.
It's got quite deep, quite quick.
I know.
I'll bring it back after. They put loads of blue light in it, and the rate of suicides dropped. Like, it was incredible. And so then I was kind of in the back of my mind, like how powerful colour could be. And then after a bit, I got my job at Jolie, and obviously that's all like sensory crazy. So then that's kind of where I really got to sit and learn about not just colour but fragrance, which is such an interesting one, and how sound and how you can get all the senses, like even like if you're doing a restaurant or there's a food offering, how the taste of that and how you can kind of mix it all in. But yeah, I think that's kind of my kind of like moment of design, is it's not just about aesthetics. It can be so much more than that, and how you feel in a space is so important. But coming back to the neurodiversity thing, like how you feel in a space controls how you act in the space, 100%. So
I think there is a misinterpretation sometimes in neurodiversity that they're like, if you're neurodiverse, you want like a really plain, really like simple space that's just not going to stimulate you. And like, that's not what neurodiversity is. Like, there are some things that might be overstimulating, but you can also be understimulated. And, as a designer, I'm really into colour. I love colour and texture and things like
Yeah.
that. And it's just making sure that you consider what textures might not be appropriate. But that's not to say that you avoid all textures completely. Every kind of person that's neurodivergent is still seeking some sort of stimulus. It's just being conscious of things that might be considered bad, like really overbearing lights, specific smells, and particularly strong smells. But there's a way to kind of, monitor those. And this is also masking bad smells. It's really important as well through sensory restoration. So it kind of all weaves into one another.
Yeah, the neurodiversity thing is such a massively, I mean, you could talk like for days just on that, because we almost need to stop thinking of it as this elite, like special bonkers group of people that we're trying to look after, and just think almost what you're saying, Sarah, just like sensory design. How can we just incorporate, like, how can we help people feel their best? Because everybody needs, like, you don't have to be wacko to be like, oh, and today I need a focus space because I'm just busy and I'm a bit fused out and there's loads happening at home. Oh, like the train journey in was quite a lot.
Designing for everyone benefits everyone,
But I think everybody has that, don't they? Like they have a busy home life, or they had a bad train journey, or they just got offered like a tough call to a client or a HR or whatever, and they need to be like, whew, I need my space, and it might be a bit calmer and a bit whatever. And then I think everybody also has the same, like in different scale of need, but like some need of like social battery and go and recharge and plug in and talk to people. Like there's very few people that literally want to sit on their own in a plain white room. Like we're not talking about that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like getting over this. I think the biggest thing with neurodiversity and like design is like getting over this like thing that we're doing something really wacko, and it's just actually we're just helping everyone have a better life, better quality of life. Sort of
It was like such simple things, just instead of like having like more of a timber worktop instead of a cold one.
Yeah,
warmer to the touch. It's just
absolutely.
Whole, like, you can do so many nice little beautiful little touches that can just make a space just feel so much more welcoming, so much more inviting to be in.
Is temperature a big deal?
Yeah, I think
in varying ways. So it's like there's always a debate of in offices, especially like the temperature's too cold or too hot, and that kind of idea of the thermal comfort and being able to have individual thermal comfort. But also like some of the surfaces, it can be important for other reasons. So I know sometimes if people have like limited mobility or arthritis, colder temperatures on like surfaces can be quite unpleasant. And it's the same thinking about what kind of handles you might put on like a kitchen cabinet. That might, if someone's got limited dexterity, how easy is it going to be for them to open that kind of thing? So again, it's all just designing with the consideration for everyone, is making sure that just everyone's at it. And you're not going to be like, I hate this timber worktop, unless you're particularly against wood.
Never met someone, but I will do, surely. And what would your message be to like, it's quite hard to get into design, right? Like you've said it in the sense of like people might not take you seriously, and you both like kind of nodded towards that. But I think it's quite hard for young people coming in. It's quite a saturated market, maybe. I don't know if that's the right word or not, but it feels like it's hard work. Is that the experience you had or not? Did you land it quite easily?
Well, after university, like, the competitiveness of guessing when you're was hard. I don't know if that's just design or if that's everyone in the current climate, but I think it is a very competitive nature. Obviously, your portfolio has got to be top of the mark to get someone's attention. Like I used to just, when I was trying to get a job, I was just like sending out email after email with everything on. I just need you in, and then once you're in, you can really start building that up, and then the door kind of opens a bit more.
I think especially if you don't live in London, like everyone would always be like, it's all in London, and you'd be like, oh, I don't want to live there though, so what do I do? So you kind of panic a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I think Manchester's a really cool scene for creatives. I think it's quite open-minded. So I'm really happy where I am with that one, because I think we're based in the Northern Quarter, which is like kind of most creative part of Manchester, I'd say. I think there is definitely like bigger cities. I think opportunities are starting to open there, because they are realising like it isn't. London is great, and there is so much in London that makes it amazing, and it is one of the design capitals of the world. But there are amazing opportunities elsewhere.
That's interesting. Yeah, because how would you really worked in your portfolio to and just pushed out? Just thinking like the young people like coming out of uni now, graduating now. And they will, I know you probably might not believe it, but they will be looking at it like, oh my goodness, they've done this, and are 30, under 30. Like, that's a dream for someone, like lots of people. Like, what would you say to them?
I think it's just showing a variety of skill is so important. I think you need to show that you can be creative, like you can do a beautiful mood board, but you can also implement those ideas in reality. So it's all great having like fancy ideas, but you have to actually be able to action them and put them into place. So I think show different media, if that's renders like through SketchUp or whatever, 3D modelling, if that's a Photoshop elevation, if it's, you know, physical material boards, photograph them, photograph kind of maybe the way you're working, how you're layering up all the different options, and explain like why what you've done is successful. I think if that makes any sense.
No, it does. And someone like applying for a job like at Jolie, they might be, that's just exactly what they need to hear. Do you know what I mean? What about you, Eleanor?
Do you know what? For us as a company, like, we're quite a small scale company, and for us, it's always been so important that in the early days when we built this culture, we were like, we love being here and we love our culture and we need to keep that. So when we're hiring people, a lot of it comes down to you as a person, as much as it's about the portfolio. We're kind of like,
You can
know what?
Technical stuff you can teach.
Yeah.
Show your personality, I think.
We want to see that you're a bit of a nutter like the rest of us. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, you're not.
when we've absolutely.
Really?
Is it not obvious?
No.
So when we've
so
interviewed
subdued.
people, we'll be like, geez, that person's kind of funny. And we'll be like, oh, we should bring them back for another interview. You know, it's kind of like, show us a little bit about yourself that's going to make you fit into this team. And we're quite allowed to, to deal with me every day. So you have to be able to put up with that. If you're super, super quiet and super shy, you might struggle a little bit just because me. But yeah, and the industry as well, it's a tough one. It is. And sometimes you have really tight deadlines, problems happen all the time. You need to be able to have that resilience to kind of just bounce back from everything. And I think for us, it's just, do you think that this person will fit in with the team? Yes, great, perfect. That's the main thing for us, I think, really.
Yeah, no, I do think like culture fit is, I totally with it on the whole like portfolio and getting that right. But if someone's like a right everything just will kind of be easy.
100%.
Do you know what I mean?
You've got to show your personality through your work.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to get someone's attention, isn't it? You don't want it to look like everyone else's.
No, absolutely. Because that's everything when you're interviewing. You do see so many, and you know what it's like. So you're trying not to be like, oh, I'm just looking through a billion CVs, a billion portfolios. But you look through so many, and they do kind of merge in your mind. So when something stands out, that's really where it's like, okay, that's a difference. A big thing for me was I sent out physical portfolios, which is not for everyone, but I basically made these sets of like postcards from all my projects and sent them out to different people because I'm quite hands-on. I've always been quite hands-on with like materials and stuff.
You made a little printed as
postcards. And you know what? You put people in a position, because with an email it's quite easy for them to ignore it, isn't it? But when you've sent something in person, they're a little bit like, oh, we've got to get them in now. So I kind of put people in that position where they had to.
Basically put a gun to their head.
They had to see me, yeah. So it
strategic.
worked quite well. It worked well, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I also, I love that. I do think that, I kind of lost my train of thought actually. But I was going to say something really, really powerful and really good. But then pretend to have it once in a lifetime, do you know what I mean? No, well, has it come back to me or not? I was just about to, then it didn't. As you were saying that about sending out your postcard, I was like, yeah, there's massive something. Yes, with marketing, it's like that. You've got to be really ready. Like even with the podcast, you've got to be really ready to be almost like disliked by some people as well, because your personality will mean that some people love you in terms of your design, like not even just hiring and getting a job, but the people taking your pitch and people like getting your promotion or whatever, or that sort of thing. And then some people will hate it as well, like maybe not hate it, but you won't appeal to everybody. So I think that's like something to give people that confidence, like whatever they're doing, like to be ready to just go. So I've got my train of thought back.
I mean, when you guys send out samples, stunning. With the little chocky bars in them. Have you had their samples with chocky bars in them?
Nothing better when you get a sample that's got a little treat in it. It's the best.
And when you sent me a photo of it,
yeah, I was like, this is the best day ever.
Your nails matched the chocolate bar
They
perfectly.
did. It was incredible. It's like we planned out.
Yeah, it was.
It was us, our marketing teams were coordinated on that.
Yeah, and then we sort of did like a big post. No, we didn't. I wish we had done, actually. We should have done. Anyway,
we can schedule it in at some point.
Yeah, we are kind of wrapping up for time, so I know. Yeah, honestly, I told you it flew by, and you were like, yeah, and everyone's like, really, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. But before we go, what's a book or a podcast that you read or recommend?
I think a book that I read. Can I say two?
Oh,
wild.
You look so well read right now. She read.
First started it.
She read.
When I first started at Jolie, our creative director Sarah, we have a book in the office called The Colour Bible, and it has like every colour and like what you can associate with it, which is really helpful, especially like when you're starting with a project. And then it's a book called Sense Hacking by Charles Spence, I want to say, which is more about the psychological side of sensory and how you can kind of use it in design, which is really interesting. It's also, you can get it as an audio. So it's quite long and you just have it on the background.
Sense hacking. So it even sounds cool, doesn't it? Sounds cool. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Sarah. Eleanor.
Yeah. Sounds like I'm just plugging her, but Kay Sargent's book on designing for neurodiversity. I think it's called Designing Inclusive
Diversity.
Something.
Inclusive Workplace.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I took it on holiday and I was like, just in terms of like a more cohesive overview, and the research she's done is just so thorough. She really knows what she's talking about, because sometimes these conversations do happen and it feels like there's a big sense of it being quite detached from the actual people. But she brings it down to, she's got children who are neurodiverse, and it's really, her insights are really interesting because they're coming from a really human perspective that I think sometimes is lacking when people are just talking about research. So I think it's a really, really good book.
Oh, nice. Cool. Right. Anything else for everybody else?
That's it, really. We just better get started on the world peaks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll send out a few emails in a minute. That will be fixed in a minute. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for joining our mini series with 30 Under 30. And don't forget to do your whole fancy business with liking and following the show, whatever you do, because it helps us get more fabulous guests on board. So, ciao. I'm going to now ask you another question. So it's going to be, after this, I'm doing a secret thing where I'm asking everybody what the colour and what the space most used cuts.
Hang on, start again.
Yeah, I've got all in the tongue tie. Basically, I don't want it to be in the episode, but at the start of next year, I'm going to release an episode where it's literally just loads of people saying, this is the colour of 2026, and this is the space that's going to be most used in 2026.
Space?
So you've got a minute to think, but...
When you say space, what do you like?
A desk or a coffee shop or a collaboration table or a high table or or working from home, or like where do you think people, what's a space that people need to think about? Like what's an emerging space that we're not really using, or we are using but it's going to take a new form and be a bit more used, or something like that? What are you putting into spaces that you didn't used to put into spaces, or you're starting to put more in? And a colour. What's the next colour for next year? You're like trend predictions.
Trend prediction.
Do you want us just to answer now?
Whenever you're ready, I'll ask you the question.
Okay. The thing with the colour though is I've got a reference in my mind, but I'm like, it's a colour from a company. Is that a problem? No.
Just do it, just be you. It would be really strange if you weren't.
Yeah.
So, right, Eleanor, what do you think is the colour for 2026?
So I think in terms of the colour profile, there's been a lot of blues recently, and I don't understand why that's been a thing. Because, I don't know. I mean, in spaces more specifically, I'm sick of the corporate blue office. It's really boring. And I think a colour I really love at the moment is Old Street by Coat Paints, which is kind of like, I would describe it as like a slightly burnt, muted red wine. So it's like a burgundy, but slightly muted. And on the walls, oh my God. On the walls, it looks absolutely lovely. And it's got that sense of calm. Yeah. It's got that sense of warmth. And it's just a complete contrast to that really old school office space. And within that, I think the space, in my mind, that's going to be the next big space that we're going to be thinking about is meeting spaces that are soft. I think there's so many, like you see those like boardrooms where it's just these cold surfaces, and I'm like, why don't we have more meeting rooms that are sofas? You know, I think there's something nice about having that kind of more softer approach. Everyone feels more relaxed, you know, and I just think we need more meeting rooms that have got kind of soft seating in it.
Absolutely. I'm not saying anything because I'm like, yes, Eleanor, yes. Wicked colour choice. Great space choice. Thank you. Sarah, what do you think is the colour of 2026?
So hard.
Is it?
I can't decide or pick one.
Okay, how many? How many are you going to go with?
The whole room, isn't it? I don't know if it's for next year. I'm really loving, it's something boring actually. I'm really loving browns at the minute.
Oh, yeah.
I think they really can add a lot of depth to a space, but it's quite a boring answer. I think
Depends how you choose, and
yeah,
it'd be boring.
I think yellow is having its moment at the minute in the fashion, and I think it's making its way a lot more over to interiors. I think people have been a bit scared of yellow because it can go quite wrong, but I think yellow can add so much joy to a space, and if you like work with it in like more warmer tones, I think it's a really beautiful one to be.
And when you say yellow, are you talking like daffodils or honeycombs?
Oh, I don't know all of them. More of that honeycomb, like those umbers, those more rich yellows. I think whack that on a cushion, and it adds so much to a space. Or get like a whole chair in it. I think it really get it on the walls, get it everywhere. And then for a space, I think we've also seen the like different lounges. I think it's really on the rise because I think it makes people want to be there, especially in workplaces. You want to design a place that people want to be rather than what they have to be. But then I think to be different. Also, I feel like the kitchen island in a workplace especially could be on the rise because I think it's so nice when everyone is like on the lunch breaks, everyone like gets together around it, has a chat, or it's a great space where everyone's like get all their materials out, work with it. I think we more collaboration spaces. I think the kitchen island's a perfect place.
Yeah. And if they could make sure there's a banging coffee machine.
I know,
Yeah.
just thinking the art.
Machine, get the pastries out.
All over it. So we're talking like browns and amber, which is
Yeah,
nice, which
really
actually goes
goes
together as well.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
I love the warmth of those colours.
In kitchen islands.
Make it happen.
Thank you, Sarah. It's perfect.